Hi, this is Mr. West, and today we're doing a tutorial video on adding decimals. This is from mathdrills.com. Make sure to check out tons of great resources and worksheets on mathdrills.com. Today I'm going to be talking about decimals and how we add them. So if you want to jump ahead to the part where we actually get to the adding of the decimals, go ahead and skip ahead. But I want to talk about how to read a decimal to start, what it means, and how we interpret each situation as we come across it. So here we have a number, and this is called 12.34. So I color-coded it, and I'm going to actually start with this one for the 2. That is the ones place. So each one of these has a different value. And if we're thinking about the ones place, we're thinking about if you're going to interpret fractions or decimals, a great way to think about it is like chocolate bars or pizza or whatever. In this case, I'm going to use like chocolate bars. So this would just be like one chocolate bar. So if there's a 2 there, that would just mean that we have, copy, paste, we have 2 of these. Okay, ignore the other colors for now. I'm going to refer to these later. So these we can ignore. So if we have 2, okay, we just have 2 of these chocolate bars in place, and that represents 2, okay? Seems pretty straightforward. And the next one to the left, we'll move up from there, is the tens place. So this tens place has a 1 there, and that means that we have 10 of those items instead. If it was a 2, that means we would have 20 and so forth. So this just means we have times 10. So if we're trying to represent this number with these chocolate bars, so to speak, this is how we could go about doing it, is we have 10 of those blue ones, and I'm just going to write times 10 because I don't want to copy and paste that 10 times. And then we have 2 of those green ones, okay, and that represents 12. So 10 plus 1 plus 1 is 12. Okay, but what happens when we get past the decimal place? This decimal is very important. It separates the whole units from the partial units. Okay, so that's our decimal. And these partial units can be represented as a fraction. And that's generally how you see it first, is through fractions. But let's break it down. What does this first one mean, this red one, or whatever color that is, magenta, fuchsia? This is the tens place. Okay, that means each one of these represents 1/10. So a 1 would represent 1/10, 2 would represent 2/10, and so forth. So this is 3/10. So really that's 3/10 added together. Okay, so that would be 3/10 because it's 1 plus 1 plus 1 is 3, and you keep the denominator the same, that's 3/10. And that's how you say it, 3/10. Now, what does it look like? Well, if you were to draw it here, I'm going to try to, this is not going to be 100% accurate, but it will give you a good visual representation. So I need 5. I'm going to go quicker here. 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there's 10 little pieces there. So if we're talking about 3/10, I'm going to get out my eraser, my partial eraser. Okay, I just want 3 of these. So you can see that 1/10 would look like just one of these little items. I'm going to do this, actually. I'm going to do little partial, okay? So if I had 1/10, it would just be that size. So you can see the size comparison between 1/10 and 1 whole, okay? So 10 of these add up to give you 1 whole, okay? But in this case, we're looking for, and it's not perfect now, that's okay. We just want 3/10. So 3/10 looks something like that, okay? So 3/10 is just these 3, and then we would get rid of all of these ones. So I'm going to go ahead and erase all these. So now we have 3/10, and that's what that looks like, okay? So now, right now, we have 12.3 because we have those 3/10, but now we have that 4. That's the last place, and that is the hundredths place. And as the name suggests, that means it's 1 over 100. And since we have 4 of those, that just means we added 4 of those fractions together. And again, if this is something that you already know, go ahead and skip to the other part. I have no problem with you doing that. So that's 4 over 100. Okay, so let's represent this visually. This is going to be even tougher, okay? So what we're going to need to do here is I'm going to cheat a little bit, and I'm going to superimpose a 10th. Okay, so let's call this a 10th. I know they're not equal right now, but let's call this one a 10th, and I'm going to just slice this. Okay, so that's 1/10. I can get rid of all this. Okay, so I'm going to get rid of this one right here, delete. Okay, so that's 1/10. Within 1/10, I'm going to have 10 of these little lines that make up 100th. So I would have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then 9, 10. I couldn't get them exactly, and I'm looking for 4 of those. So I need to go ahead and just take 4 of those guys, and let's see if I can do it. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's so small that it's hard to see, but I think I got it. Okay, and let's erase that right there. Okay, so that is 4 tenths, or 4 100ths. And you can see it is just super small, and we could keep going. So I don't want you to think that it stops at hundredths, and you don't even need hundredths for this video, but this keeps going on infinitely. This goes on forever. We could keep going smaller and smaller. That's the kind of cool thing about math. But that's the basic visual representation of what this number looks like. 12, we'd have 10 of those, 2 of those big green ones. I don't know what happened. Oh, I deleted one of my tenths. Let me put it back up. And then 4 of those little hundredths. Okay, so that's what it would look like visually. Now that we have an understanding of how we build those numbers, this is just talking about, this is the part that is going to help with the actual video. This is the part that will help you just add tenths. So one of the main things that you need to do is, this is like a prerequisite, you need to line up the decimal. Okay, that's a big first must. You have to line up the decimal. I should put decimals, because if you're adding more than 2 numbers, no matter how many you're adding, you need to make sure that this decimal and this decimal are right over each other. And the reason why is that makes your ones lined up, that makes your tenths lined up, and if you have any other numbers to the left or right, they're all going to be lined up over their actual place value. If you were going to add these 2 things together and it wasn't lined up, for example, if you had like 7.2 plus 0.4, okay, that's an example, and let's say I didn't line up the decimal, I would be adding the ones and getting 11 ones. When it's not actually 11 ones, we have 0.4. Look at the size difference between a tenth and a 1. You're adding unlike things, so that's why you have to make sure they're lined up so that you're adding like things, tenths with tenths, ones with ones. Okay, and we know that the tenths add up to give us a 1. We need 10 of those, and that's where we carry the numbers over. Okay, just like we carry ones over to make tens, we do the same thing with tenths to make ones. Okay, so with that being said, we kind of just add this like normal after that. And the main thing is we're just going to, we'll call that step 1. Step 1, line up the decimal. Step 2, drop the decimal. What do I mean by that? I'm just mean you just drop it in place. So if I have a decimal here, I'm going to just drop it right there. And now the step 3 is add like normal. So add normally. And when I'm talking about adding normally, I'm just like, if you didn't have those decimals there or those zeros there, you're just going to add like a normal number. So if we have 4 plus 6, that's 10. Normally you would put the 0 down, you'd carry the 1, and then you add this next column. So this was my first step. Okay, I added the tenths place. So I started with that place, and now I move over to the next one. Okay, I don't know what color, let's do orange. And now I'm adding the ones place. And I just keep doing this until I'm out of places to add. So in this case, I have that 1 there, so I put a 1, and now I have 1.0 as my answer, and that's it. So 4 tenths plus 6 tenths equals 1. And I can just apply the same process to all these questions. I'm even gonna just copy this and paste it, because I know I just have to do that, okay? So I have 3 plus 2, I have the decimals lined up, okay? I'm gonna drop the decimal, and I'm gonna add normally, that's 5, and I have 0 plus 0, and that's 0, okay? And that's all there is to it. Simple as that. I go through this whole problem, and it's pretty easy. I just drop the decimal, 0.9, okay? I'm looking for ones that, here was 1, okay? So this one, I'm gonna go ahead, just highlight my tenths and my ones. I have 7 plus 7, that's 14. I carry the 1, and now I have 0 plus 0 plus 1, that's 1. Don't forget to drop the decimal. I forgot to do that. 1.4 is my answer. And that's how you're going to go through all these problems. Most of them are pretty simple. They're low numbers for a reason. This is just an introductory video. If you have any other questions on any of these, let me know. Most of these should be pretty straightforward, though. I could do a couple more if you really wanted to, so leave a comment if you're struggling with any of these. but I'm guessing you're going to be just fine now that you understand the principles of adding decimals. Hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to check out other videos like it on mathdrills.com, and I look forward to seeing you next time right here on Wes Explains Best.